Hello, my name is Lee Allen. I'm a Senior Vice President at Corcentric. Welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to be zooming in on the automotive company Daimler. We'll be looking at how they reduced their DSO by 59% and then permanently fixed it at 15 days. Let's start by thinking about those dual business outcomes. Reducing DSO means you get paid sooner, which unlocks the working capital stuck in your cash conversion life cycle. And being able to forecast with certainty what that flow looks like is vitally important for strategic planning and avoiding firefighting. Those dual business outcomes, reduced DSO and a payment schedule that is fixed, dependable and forecastable, are probably the two biggest, most commonly pursued goals by every accounts receivable team. They are universal business outcomes regardless of the product, service, industry or even geography. So how did Daimler achieve this, and is it an experience that can be replicated? Well, the short answer is they partnered with us at Corcentric. That's obviously why I'm talking about it today. But let me elaborate with a little more detail. The common strategies for pursuing those twin goals usually involve the insertion of some stuff between you, the supplier, and your customer, the buyer. And that stuff is generally a combination of people, process, and technology. For people, companies look to hire the right staff, to retain them, and to train them to be better. And those people will then be charged with looking at the policies, the procedures, and the processes, and then adjusting and tweaking them as necessary to make them better. And of course, there will be heavy investment in software solutions and upgrades to underpin the entire endeavour. These are the strategies all companies employ. Even if they outsource the function to a third party, their partner will also be using this same combination of techniques. Indeed, it's exactly what we do at Corcentric. But none of these things are guaranteed to work. They are things you do in service of efficiency and improvement, but to guarantee those business outcomes, there's a fourth component that's missing, and that's funding. Adding funding to the people, process and technology is like a cheat code. It's a shortcut to success that guarantees the business outcomes. What Daimler did is partner with Corcentric to provide all four of those components. And this is what that looks like. Daimler raise an invoice and then Corcentric takes over. We distribute the invoice to their customer in paper, email or electronic format, and then on a prearranged and dependable date we pay that invoice. Sometime later, and this is the variable and unpredictable aspect, the buyer will reimburse us for the invoice value, or, as is often the way, we will get involved in the collections effort and any dispute management. This very simple idea unlocks the working capital and improves the cash flow. It provides cash flow certainty by paying every invoice on time, every time. It also de-risks the credit and collections process because we provide the service on a non-recourse basis. We'll take on the full ledger. That includes the good, the bad and the indifferent accounts, all blended to provide a balanced offering. That also means there's no more late payments, no more bad debt and no more write-offs. Corcentric operates on a business as a service model, meaning there's no capital outlay or investment in technology, infrastructure or systems. In fact, the program is entirely self-funding. It also means the service continually evolves with the market, as it's in our direct interest to develop in line with client requirement. And lastly, we provide a best-in-class experience for our customers and for their buyers. Our team is typically used to augment rather than replace your own, allowing for existing resource to be deployed in a focused way. You can also support growth without the need of recruitment. It's such a simple idea you'd be forgiven for thinking it lacks the sophistication to handle the complexity and the cut and the thrust of your organisation and the market you operate in. Can a partner truly understand the way you operate? Can they accommodate your complexity? Can they provide the gains without compromising customer care and experience? Those are valid questions. So let's just rewind back to those guaranteed business outcomes. And let's now wheel in a whiteboard so I can draw you a diagram of the dynamic that existed at Daimler. Like all companies, they were focused on maximising capital to fuel their strategic initiatives. And I think we'll turn off the sound effect because that's quite annoying. And again, like all other companies, they were facing a lot of external factors that were making capital management ever more challenging. Macroeconomic, market, industry and supply chain volatility were creating unprecedented levels of uncertainty. Added to this were significant workforce challenges. There aren't enough finance professionals to do the work, plus the shift to remote working has transformed the back office into a myriad of micro offices, each requiring different technology and techniques to manage. The general backdrop to the business world has never been so uncertain, so challenging and so complex. And I think this is true for everybody today, and I'm sure you'll recognise it within your own organisation. For Daimler specifically, they were also responsible for managing two sides of the equation, both suppliers and buyers. They have a distribution network of about 600 dealers and distributors, and they sell parts and services to about 1,000 accounts. And Daimler sit in between the two, managing it all. Now their suppliers come in a number of different shapes and sizes, from very large and sophisticated to very small, with everything in between. Some are mature, with advanced and automatic processes that require heavy integration to establish a tight connection. Many of the smaller companies are still using paper and spreadsheets and highly manual processes. And of course, on the flip side to this, you have the mirror image of these dynamics. Each party has different platforms and preferences for payment timing and processes and the way they like to do business. Daimler found their people doing their best to keep up, but it became an almost impossible task to accommodate all of the variables for nearly 17,000 unique connections. So they had this very complex and broad set of challenges, and they were trying to address them. And the only way they could figure out how was to do it through people, process and technology. But despite the effort, the manpower, the time, the energy and the resources, they found they were continually coming up short on their own expectations. I thought we'd turn that off. The friction in the process was jeopardising business relationships, locking up dollars, creating uncertainty and burdening the good people with a difficult working environment. That's the complex situation Corcentric stepped into and took on. If I look at the challenges faced by Daimler, they don't look particularly uncommon. I think most companies would recognise an element, if not all, of these challenges as relevant to themselves. And that's because the challenges of accounts receivable are pretty universal, which means the solution Daimler applied by partnering with Corcentric is also going to be universally applicable. You can achieve these same business outcomes because they are universal regardless of the product, service, industry or even geography. So while the solution is simple, the question can be complex, nuanced and challenging. If you'd like to know more, if you have questions about what I've presented, or if you'd like an illustration of how this could work for you, please contact me by any of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for listening.